Morning, Raptor Freak Lexi Otts here. Thursday Think Tank. It's Thursday, baby. And this is the day where all of us positive minded Raptor fans get together and talk a little bit of speculation about the future of the Raptors and different things. And today's main subject is Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba of the Orlando Magic right now. There are very interesting things happening since Orlando won the draft lottery. They have the number one pick this draft, and it means they got to make some cap space because they got to pay a big time rookie, number one draft pick coming into this summer. And that means they got to clear some room. And that means that Mo Bamba is more than 100%, maybe even, I mean, not 100%, but I would say at least 90 to 95% likely to not be on the Magic after this summer. Now, there's some interesting new intel about Mo Bamba this week. He's been on Twitter telling Donovan Mitchell to come back to New York and play for the Knicks. He is actively recruiting Donovan Mitchell to go play for the Knicks. And I'm wondering if that means he is on his way to the Knicks himself, Mo Bamba. So that's a very interesting bit of news and interesting development that Bamba is trying to talk Donovan Mitchell into going to New York City. So I don't know if that means that he has an allegiance or a want to be there himself and that he's starting to try and build a core there with people that he wants to play with. Also, both these guys are from New York where they kind of lived in different things. So there is a bit of an affinity there. But I think he would be a great fit with the Raptors. If we can make this happen somehow, some way, that would be great. His contract, this is the way it works. Orlando has to offer him a $10 million qualifying offer by the end of June. And that if they don't send this qualifying offer to him, he's an unrestricted free agent and he can sign wherever he wants to. So there is still a little bit of time where we don't know for sure. But honestly, because of the winning the first pick in the draft lottery, Orlando's not going to keep Mo Bamba. That's an easy place for them to free up money to be able to pay their new number one pick. So that'll be very interesting to see if they do send him a qualifying offer in the next month or they just let him walk and let him go sign wherever he wants to, he feels like signing with. So that's very interesting. If you guys want to talk more about Mo Bamba, I know super fan Monique Lawrence is a huge proponent of the Raptors getting Mo Bamba. The reasons why are, listen, this guy will offer you some block shots with mobility. I know we've had something like that with Chris Boucher recently, and hopefully we re-sign him this summer and keep him in the fold also. But the thing about Bamba is that he has a little bit more physicality, a little bit more bang in him as far as like if he's going up against a bigger physical center, he can hold his own pretty well. And then the height thing is a little bit better too, because he's actually a 7-footer. And we currently do not have any 7-footers on the Raptors right now. So it would be a nice height, rim protection, mobile big that could help us. And, I'm all for it. I gets my seal of approval on any kind of deal bringing Bamba here for next year. And I really like the fact that he can get up and down the court like the rest of our guys. Like he's not going to slow us down. If he was on the team, he'd run right up and down the court with everybody on the break and everything like that and stuff like that. So I really like the deal. So hopefully it can happen. Other news and notes. Last night was not a good night for Miami Heat. Oh my gosh. They shooting very, very badly. And Boston took the fifth game in Miami in front of the Miami crowd. And they were not happy. Boston finally had all of their players available. They played all of them. Horford, Smart, Jalen Brown, everybody was there. Tatum, they were all there for Boston. And meanwhile, on the other side, I think they were only missing maybe Tyler Hero or something like that. But Kyle Lowry played absolutely bad last night. And he's feeling the wrath of the Miami fans, kind of like how he felt the Toronto fans' wrath in game one of the Orlando series of the championship year. They are really turning on him. They want him out. They don't like him anymore. They're like, what the hell is going on here? There's a lot of really mean things being said about Kyle Lowry by Heat Nation this morning. Let's just put it that way. And they don't understand him is what the problem is that this is what happens with him sometimes, especially as he's gotten older. There's some games where he will give you absolutely nothing. And we knew that. We were starting to get those games last season here in Toronto in the bubble year, or not in the bubble year, in the Tampa year in Tampa. We were already seeing Lowry to a degree being like that. So Monique's here. I'm too early. Mo Bamba chatter. Let's go. Yeah, Monique, like, type in and tell me some of the things you like the most about possibly acquiring Mo Bamba this summer. I really like his mobility. I like the fact that he could probably be really good on the break with the rest of the guys. I like that maybe he'd be able to block some shots and actually keep guys away from just attacking the rim on our defensive end and things like that. And I don't know, like maybe he has a prior relationship with Masai Ujiri through Giants of Africa or anything like that. Maybe he does have some sort of favor to come to Toronto because of our team and Masai. But maybe he wants to go to New York. That's the other thing I'm seeing. It doesn't make sense to me. I mean, if he's trying to get New York better, why would he be trying to get Donovan Mitchell to go to New York if he wasn't thinking about going there himself? So that's a little bit of an interesting tell that on Twitter, he's trying to recruit Mitchell to go play for the Knicks. And I'm wondering if that means he wants to join him there or not. So I don't know. Anything could happen. It could be that we still end up getting him and he's just trying to be a nice guy to his old city and wants to help them get better. I don't know. But yeah, that was very interesting to me. Now, more about the Miami stuff. Miami's in trouble. Like now they have to go to Boston and try and stay alive in a stay alive game in game 6 on the Boston court. And there's nothing fun about that. Like, this is really bad. This is something that's been the Achilles heel for the Heat all season, is that they're not totally a good shooting team. They're a good 3-point shooting team. Like they have shooters that can really shoot the three, but sometimes in between the 3-point line and the basket, they're not very good. And they weren't very good last night. I'm going to say that right now. Like it's so disappointing that they didn't rise to the occasion in this game. That maybe they are all lingering injuries and hurt in different ways, that they didn't have the effort or any of that kind of stuff. And Boston did. I mean, I hate to say it, that their defense was better than Miami's, obviously. And, it looks real bad. And listen, now all the people on Twitter are also saying that we definitely won the trade last year as far as getting Precious compared to what has happened with Kyle. I said this last year. I was like, go ahead, Miami. Be so happy that you got Kyle Lowry from us and feel like you robbed us because Goran Dragic is being a jerk and Precious is so unknown. But I really knew that we won this deal, even if Dragic wasn't even involved in it. That Precious Achua, as a prospect and up-and-coming player, with Kyle Lowry on his way down with his age, we won that deal. I'm sorry. And people are starting to say that Masai beat Pat Riley on that deal last summer. And that's fun. I love hearing that kind of stuff when they can say Masai Ujiri outfoxed or outwild somebody like Pat Riley, a legend like him. That's badass. More interesting news and notes from yesterday. Scotty Barnes has done more Twitch in the last 24 hours. He was all over Twitch last night. He twitched for maybe 2 hours, 3 hours last night, and I watched most of it. And it's very interesting to listen to Scotty playing the NBA 2K or whatever it is, the basketball game he's playing with friends and on the microphones and talking to people. Very fun to watch. It's almost like sitting there with Scotty watching him play video games in his house and sitting there for like an hour or two hanging out with him. You really feel like you hung out with him. It's really weird. And boy, like it was fun because you really get to know a little bit more about his personality through watching him play the video games on Twitch. So I would highly recommend checking out Scotty's Twitch and following him, because I'm going to bet you money he's going to be on there regularly in the next little while until it gets messed up for some reason or he gets sick of it or something. But Summer's here. Good to see Summer. Do you play any video games? Well, I don't have any new systems, but I have a PlayStation 2. I play a lot of games maybe on my phone. Like I play Brick Breaker, stuff like that. No, I'm not really that big into the video games as I used to be. Like I like Grand Theft Auto, like back when it came out on PlayStation 2 and San Andreas and stuff like that. And, I'm a big fan of Tetris. I have some role playing games that I'll play summer low, but for the most part, no, I don't play many video games anymore. There were a period of times when I played a lot of video games, but now it's just really kind of Brick Breaker, stuff like that. Like just bored on the phone. If you're waiting around somewhere, I'll get on there and just play Brick Breaker. There's not really much other like normal console gaming or even PC gaming that I've done in the past. Not at this point in my life. Monique's saying rim protection, bench help, etc. Yeah, there's a lot of good qualities about Mo Bamba. I do really feel like he's a good fit with us. Like he doesn't mess up our mobility. He can be in the positionless scheme. I feel like he would be a great fit, and I hope it happens. I really do. But like I said, he may be wanting to go to New York from what it seems like. I don't know why, like he would want to do that over Toronto, but that's just him. Like, okay, so back to the Scotty Twitch thing. Like, listen, seriously, y'all, if y'all can get on there and follow him on Twitch, it'll tell you when he goes online. It's very interesting to watch him. He was talking about ketchup chips last night. He does not like ketchup chips. He's like saying, up in Canada, they got ketchup flavored chips. And I'll tell you, it's bad food, man. He's like, what? He's like, it's bad food. Yeah, I was like, what? Does that mean it's good or bad? I was like, because it's that whole, like, I'm a little bit older. I don't understand the vernacular with the young kids. Maybe bad means bad at this point. Well, it did mean bad. He said, like, it's just a little bit too much, is what he was saying about ketchup chips last night on the Twitch. And there were a couple of little other things that happened on there that were interesting, but nothing really that extraordinary. Really fun to watch him play. He's a real competitor. Like the thing that struck me about watching Scotty play basketball video games on Twitch last night is that this man is like, his passion for basketball is limitless. Like you would think he'd be sick of practicing and playing all the time. This man has such a love for basketball that he could be practicing every single day, playing for the team all year, doing all this stuff with basketball all the time. And in his off time, he's playing basketball in the video game. It's like it doesn't stop with basketball with Scotty Barnes. And it's funny because he could play all kinds of other video games. He could play Call of Duty. He could play like all these other different games that aren't even basketball games, but he chooses to Twitch and play a basketball game. So that really, to me, says a lot about his dedication and his passion for the sport of basketball, that is the game he chooses to play. And I also found it really interesting that his player that he created is not like a giant or not, it doesn't look like him or anything like that. I don't think it was just an ordinary dude. Like, in fact, he might look a little bit like me, just wearing black. And I was like, why Scotty's character is so short is what I was thinking. And it was like, what is he doing with him? And it was like, it's very interesting to see his choices for his characters. Let's see. Some are saying New York has decent centers. Raptors don't. If Bamba was smart, he'd go to the place where he can get minutes. Yeah, I agree with that, Summer. That's a good point. That there's Mitchell Robinson. They have other people there already, and that makes more sense to me. Also, it may be that he's just trying to get Mitchell back to New York to help the Knicks. I don't understand it though, but it's all over Twitter with him interacting, or it was on Instagram or something. Like Mitchell was live streaming, and then he came on there and said go to New York and told him to go to New York. So Monique saying I didn't even. Mo Bamba had connections with Masai. I learned something. I would think he does, but he may not. I may be assuming just because, he has an African background and that most of the players that have come from that continent have had some kind of contact or influence from Masai as far as things. I don't know. Now, that's another interesting thing that I watched yesterday. I watched all the press conferences. Sorry, just like a street sweeper coming by. Let me just let it go by. I watched all the press conferences from the Giants of Africa conference this past week. Very interesting information and things that are going on over there with Masai and what he's building in Africa right now. He had that long interview with the president of Rwanda, and they were talking about their favorite player, his favorite players, the president's favorite players. And he was saying like Steph Curry and LeBron and all this stuff. And then Masai was like, well, who's your last one? Let me give you a suggestion question. And the guy said, "Oh, Pascal." And he said, "Yes, yes." It was hilarious. Masai was kind of leading him to saying Pascal Siakam, but that is the right choice. You need to put him in there with them. And then like a really cool panel, like Luol Deng was there, and he was talking about things. And what they're trying to do in Africa right now is they're trying to build NBA style arenas. Like they want to have a big high tech kind of arena to play the basketball in, and have their league in Africa go more big time and be more like the NBA. That's really what they were talking about a lot at this conference, is building more professional arenas for their league over there, and getting the resources and figuring it all out. And they have a couple of them built already, but they want to make sure every single building in their league there has a top quality arena. And then talking about also really generating talent in Africa, for, bringing people in and feeding that league and using it as another path to get to the NBA for young players and young people there. They're talking about the demographics in some of the African countries there, and it's a very, very young population. It's, the population is not very old. The percentage of young people in those countries means that there's going to be a lot of potential and a lot of young people coming up that could play. And I also really love how Masai and the panels talked a lot about how the gender equity stuff, like as far as the women's roles in like management and coaching and different things, and having a women's league also and things like that. So really highly recommend going and watching the Masai Ujiri stuff this week from the Giants of Africa conference, talking about what's going on. And it's kind of a state of the address, state of the union kind of thing about what's going on with the league in Africa over there and stuff like that. Very, really interesting. Let's see. G saying Mo Goye, 6'11" with 7'3" wingspan, worked out for the Raptors, and maybe only them, maybe go undrafted. So he may be someone on top of their pick. Okay, G's talking about, yeah, I watched the clips of this guy. I wasn't impressed with him. To me, he was very slow. And he didn't look that big in some ways. But listen, he may be that kind of gold that we'd mine. He may not get drafted by us, but he could be like a Justin Champagny and just show up. And boom, we got another undrafted gem that's just come from nowhere and stuff like that. I don't know. I wasn't impressed with him by my eye test from the clip I watched of him the other day. But, who knows? Maybe there's something else about him that Bobby and Masai see or something like that. But I'm not sure about him myself. Monique saying, I thought it was only one episode from the conference. They had two parts. They had a part where it was the president and Masai sitting down and talking directly. And then they had a part where there was a panel and Masai wasn't in it. But he did get up at the end of it and ask questions or let people in the audience talk also. So there's a 45-minute clip, and then there's also a clip that's over an hour, Monique. So there were two clips. If you can find the other one that you didn't see. So Click to him saying, I was watching Scotty Barnes live stream last night. Yeah, I was watching that too, Click. Did you watch him the earlier one or the later one? Because the one earlier was raunchy. Like, listen, y'all need to get under wraps with your online presences. Like people, he needed some wrenches is what he needed. Scotty needed some wrenches in that early one, because these motherfuckers were coming on there asking him like, how big is Malachi's dick and stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck? Who are these people that are coming in here asking these X-rated questions to Scotty Barnes while he's playing video games? And he was saying, y'all are wilding. Y'all need to just stop like with your stuff. And he actually had to quit for a little while because they were so off the chain with raunchy grossness. Like people saying stuff like, I want you to suck my breasts and stuff. It's just crazy stuff. People were saying sexual stuff to Scotty while he's playing the game. It's crazy. Oh my gosh. You watched the one at 11. Yeah, the one at 11 was better. That one was a little more tame. There weren't the same knuckleheads that were spamming the same stuff over and over again. And the one around 7 o'clock, yeah, I watched them twice. Like there was a thing he put on Instagram. He said, I'm going live at this time, and boom, went in there, and there were about 800 of us watching him, and it was fun. It really was like hanging out with Scotty. So if you want to have that feeling, because people were saying, hey, say hi to me, and he was saying hi to people with their names and stuff like that. So they're like, "Ooh, he said my name." Ooh, that kind of stuff going on, and people asking them general questions like, "Do you love Toronto? Are you going to come here to Carabana? Who's your favorite teammate?" They're asking them, "Who's your favorite player in the league?" They're asking them all these questions, rapid fire. But the man's trying to play a game. He's like holding the controller and he's trying to play the basketball game and win, because that's what he's all about, is winning. And these motherfuckers are scrolling all this crazy shit. Like, it's coming rapid fire. It's crazy. Oh man. Yeah, Click was saying that's the internet, folks. Trolls everywhere. Well, he just needed a mod, and they were all crying out for it. Like, people were like, "Scotty, let me be your moderator, please, please, please." They were like, "Oh, please," because there were a lot of people out of pocket. Like, they were saying some dumb stuff. There were a couple of names in particular that were being absolutely raunchy. And then somebody was on there trying to say, "This is how Toronto fans act." What the fuck? It's crazy. I don't think those were Toronto fans that were acting like that. Oh my gosh. What's Scotty's Twitch handle? Okay, Click's got it for you. Your boy Scotty. Yeah, follow him, Summer. This is just good entertainment. And like I said, this is the weird age of things. It's like Scotty just did this clip talking to Dwayne Wade about the fan and player interaction and how it's changing with technology. Well, boom, Twitch last night. You could have just, you're sitting on your couch. He's sitting in his room playing his game, and you can hear everything. It's like you're sitting in the room listening to him play the video games, and you really got a sense of him. And it's weird too, because I really kind of got to know his personality a little bit better just from watching him play video games and kind of comment and what he cared about and who he's saying things to and stuff like that. It's really cool. I love Scotty. I think Scotty's a badass, but I really do worry that he's going to be another one of these lottery picks from the ACC that take off on us eventually. I really do worry about this, because there were some things about it, what he said last night, that was like, "Oh, this is a Toronto man." And then there were some things that like, he doesn't necessarily like some things about Canada too also. So Monique's saying, so much talk about basketball, Canada basketball now. Yes, Monique, this team is stacked. I'm sorry. The rest of the international basketball needs to watch out, because Team Canada is coming. And in fact, Monique, we should talk about this very soon, about who we think Nick Nurse is going to start for this team, because this team is so stacked. We're going to have to look at it and figure out who's going to be the starting five for Team Canada this summer on Canada Day against Dominican Republic. It's going to be such a good game in Hamilton on July the 1st. So yeah, I don't know. Nick Nurse, you got a tough decisions to make. Who are going to be your starting five? Because this team is so stacked, so stacked. Click saying Scotty's smart. He's not gonna feed that into that stuff and say something stupid. He even spoke about it with Dwayne Wade. He was hesitant to stream because of the comments. Yeah, he did say that in the thing with Dwayne Wade. It's like, you got to really watch what you say and what you comment on, because people were asking him some stuff, that they're saying all the knuckleheaded kind of things and stuff like that, or wanting him to say certain things to get, there's going to be fans of other teams that are going to be saying certain things, and there's going to be knuckleheaded Toronto fans are going to say dumb things too, different stuff like that. But he handled it really well. I think if he just gets some good mods who really protect him on there, like you guys have for me with the wrenches, and he'll be fine. But he went in there with no mods, and boy, was it a Wild West of just a shit show. It was crazy. Like, we did not need to hear questions of like how long is everybody's penis, is like what people were asking him. And I'm like, why are people doing this to him? Like, let the man just play games. And who are you people asking this stuff? So all right, Monique's let's see. Okay, Click saying shy. Jamal, Barrett, Wiggins, they can all average 20 points. No Wiggins, though. We won't have Wiggins on the team, but those other three guys are going to be on Team Canada for this summer, which is badass in itself, but no Wiggins, unfortunately. Let's see. Monique's saying, can Nick Nurse carry them to the Olympics? Yes, yes, yes. I'm telling y'all, this is my thing. A couple days ago with Barrett and Nick Nurse and those guys showing up, Superfan Navadia, they did that photo op, and they're like, this is a new era of Team Canada basketball. That I'm telling you, these guys are committed for 3 years. That's the other thing on the download. These guys aren't just showing up for this summer. They have made a commitment to be involved in the next 3-year period of Team Canada basketball. And the names are badass. We got SGA, we got Lou Dort, we got Jamal Murray, we got RJ Barrett, we got Nickel Alexander, we got really a good wide Dylan Brooks. We got all these stud young Canadian players. They're coming and they're going to play for Team Canada under Nick Nurse. When Nick Nurse gets to know these young Canadian players better, bam, that's even better for the Raptors too, because they get a previous coaching relationship with him. And down the road, free agency, come back to Canada, boom, Nick Nurse already. You understand and you like the way he coaches, maybe, boom, come to Toronto, free agency. Hello. It all washes one hand, it washes the other. So I am so happy about the roster for Team Canada in some ways, particularly because Nick Nurse will get time to work with some of the best young Canadian talent in the NBA. And oh man, that team is so stacked. Like seriously, go look at it. Figure out who you think's going to start for them, because it's going to be a really tough decision. Let's see. Raymond Jacobs saying, well, if they got more rings, Scotty ain't leaving. But if 0 rings, I won't blame him. Okay, you're talking about Scotty like down the road. Well, listen, I think we'll get rings while he's still in his prime, like time where he has to be here. It's just that the whole thing I worry about is whether he has people in his family or people around him that want him to like go somewhere else, and like Uncle Dennis kind of shit, like with Kawhi. That's the thing I worry about. That if he has an advisor or somebody saying, yeah, you got to be in Toronto for a while just because they drafted you. But when you're ready, you get out of there as quick as you can. Because that's the kind of shit that happened to Tracy McGrady. It's the similar thing with Vince on the down low, and even Bosch. It's the same thing. These guys are Atlantic Coast Conference players from Georgia Tech, Florida State, and UNC. And I worry that these guys that he'll be like them. I really don't want Scotty to do this. I think you should try and be like Magic and Larry, your heroes, Scotty, and stick with one team and make a dynasty while you're there, because you're going to do it if you do it here. All right. Monique's asking me a question. What do you think of the Jalen Harris interview? I'm really glad you brought this up and asked me, Monique, because I did watch it yesterday. And I'm going to say some things that I think some people on this chat are not going to be happy with. I don't want Jalen Harris on our team after watching that interview. Yeah, I know that's crazy. Doesn't that sound crazy? I don't believe in him. I don't think he's as good as you guys say he is. I think between Summer Lowe's scouting report from him in Europe and the way that I read body language and what the people are saying, I don't believe him. I don't think he's a good player. I think he's full of shit. And I don't think he's going to actually get to the Raptors again, guys. I think that this is the closest he'll get, is playing with J. Cole out in Scarborough. And I know Paul B's not going to like what I'm saying right now. I got a feeling about him that he doesn't take things as seriously as he should. And that also I don't think he's good enough, guys. I really don't think he's good enough. I know he seems like a really badass scorer from college and all this kind of stuff, but I don't think he's good enough. And the tells I got from his interview were like doubt. And like, also, he was a little bit too flippant in certain areas. And I understand he's saying it wasn't his fault that he got that drug ban. He's kept reiterating it wasn't my fault. It was a mistake. In some ways, I don't like that either, because he's not taking ownership for what happened. He's saying, oh, it was a mistake. It was a fuck up. He's not saying, well, you know what? Whose fuck up was it? Is he deflecting the blame onto somebody else? Because ultimately, you're the one who put things in your body. And even if it was something that it was like something that medical staff gave you or something like that, I just wish that he'd take more ownership and responsibility, because he's deflecting off what happened last year. And I don't believe him. In fact, my tells are telling me he's a liar. That's what I'm saying right now. I read people, and I don't like what I saw in that interview. In fact, he looked fucked up in that interview also. Like, I smoke weed. I can tell when somebody's smoking weed and stuff like that. And I know weed's not as big of a deal. But if you're at a workout and you're playing and stuff like that, it is a big deal then. Kevin Durant has recently come out and talked about his marijuana use and how much he likes to smoke. And, there's laws are changing. The laws here in Canada has totally changed. State laws in the U.S. are changing. And it should become like less like a problem in some ways. But in some ways, it is a problem if you're at practice really high. or if you're, doing things. It's a recreation thing, off time. But I see Jalen Harris at practice with the CEBL and Scarborough Shooting Stars, and he looks like he's high there. So I don't like that. I don't like that. So I'm passing on him. I'm not a fan of Jalen Harris coming back. I don't think we have room for him. I don't want to just pave the way for him to just come back. He's going to have to work real hard and show he's serious. And from what I'm seeing, I don't think he is. And that's what I'll say right there. Summer Lowe saying, laugh out loud. I'm watching Scotty's video playing 2K. He does the same thing in the game as he does in real life. He waits for the defender on wide open fast breaks. Yeah, it was really funny. He's all about passing in that game too. He loves setting up other guys, and I love when he makes the shot and he's like, yeah, he like the way he celebrates, and some of his shit talk is really funny too. But yeah, Scotty playing on Twitch. This is a new development. He hasn't been doing this very long. He was gonna do it earlier in the season, but because Delano and Chris and all them are doing it all the time, but he tried it and it wasn't going. He couldn't get into it. But now because he has more time, I'm sure he's like, all right, he's gonna do that. I'd much rather him be on Twitch at night playing video games than out in the clubs, possibly getting some sort of issues with some sort of other things and problems, whether it's whatever out in the nightlife in Miami. So I'm glad he's at home and stuff like that. But yeah, it's funny, Summer. It's you can go back and watch the clip now on his thing, and it's he's hilarious on there. Click saying he says it wasn't his fault. How? No, he looks like he snorts coke. That ain't weed. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like there's something off about him. He does not look clear-headed. The way he speaks is like he's all over the place. He's frazzled. I don't know if that's just his personality, the way he carries himself, but it doesn't look good. He looks like an addict when he talks, and it really worries me. I think it's the excuse that he's saying is that he got an injection of some sort for something to help him, and that it broke the rule for the banned substances thing. Is what he's saying. It wasn't his fault. That like a trainer or somebody gave him something, and that's what made him like fail the ban. But I'm telling you, reading his body language in that interview and stuff like that, I did not like what I saw. Shane Waters is saying Harris averaged under 30% from three in EuroLeague. That's not good enough. I agree. Not worth a stitch more time. Yeah, Shane, I'm with you. I mean, listen, if he had shown like some huge leaps and bounds over there, like Summer said, she was not impressed with what he did over there. And I'm not impressed either. Like, I want to see this man shoot like almost 50% from three because that's what we need right now. That's what we need right now. And I know that's a tall order, but there's got to be somebody out there like Matt Thomas, but a little bit more athletic and better that can do something like that for us because that's what we need. And, the other thing is he was like too casual about it. Like, listen, like, dude, you're fighting for your professional life. If you really care about it, like the way he talked about what he learned over there. Hang on a sec. It's the cops. Jeez. All right. The way he talked about what he learned over there and what he matured from didn't sound like what Sam Decker said last year when he had to go over to Europe and said, I really learned something. I got better as a person. He said it, but it was lip service. You could tell he didn't mean it. He didn't seem like he changed anything. Rahul's saying, I agree with Raymond Jacob. I see Scotty leaving the Raps. I mean, all right, Rahul, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It pains me just to read what you just wrote. I don't think he'll leave for at least 10 years. We'll get a good long chunk out of him, even if he leaves eventually. But he's going to get the max money, and we're going to throw it at him, and we'll keep him at least as long as we had Bosch. At least as long as we had Vince. We will tie him up that long. But listen, by then, maybe he'll be like, yeah, I'm Raptor for life. And stuff like that. So this is a period of time early in his career where we need to get him attached to our city, our fan base, and everybody all in general, and make him a part of our culture, make him a part of our future and our whole like tapestry of Raptors history, like more and more. We need to get him hooked in with us. And there's everything about the team as far as the coach, the GM, the teammates, the way the team's winning, it all is working in the right way. And the fans need to do that also. The country, we can't do a whole lot about cold and ketchup chips. But, it is, if we can get him to be like Kyle and DeMar and have that kind of loyalty and love and that good relationship with us forever, that would be good. But it could be that eventually he does leave us at some point. And that'll suck because I won't want that to happen. But hopefully it won't happen until like he's 10 years into his career or something like that. Or maybe it doesn't happen at all. I don't know. Raymond saying, don't worry, they're getting the ring next year. Yeah, I like that attitude. Yes, Raymond Jacob, we'll get the ring next year. He'll get a all-star, and he'll get all this other stuff with us, and boom, and it'll be like, yeah, I love playing in Toronto. We win in Toronto, and that's what I want to do. Rahul saying, I see Scotty sign the rookie max extension, and if we don't make the Eastern Conference Finals or Finals during his tenure, I think he will consider leaving. I do think that winning is one of the very most important things to Scotty. So I won't disagree with this necessarily. I think we will get that far though, at least with him in the next couple years. Now, I don't know if it'll be like, listen, after his rookie contract's up, we have still got restricted free agency rights to him, which means we can match and we can pay him more than anybody else. So that really bodes well for us. And we will, trust me, if he's that kind of superstar and he's on the way up and up, we will lock him down and he will be with us. Trust me. So yeah. Monique saying Brady Heslip as GM for Shooting Stars. Nice. I didn't know that. That's the old 3-point shooter. He's a little bit like Matt Thomas. We had him on our G League team for a little bit there. That's cool. Good for him. That's a new team, Scarborough Shooting Stars and stuff like that. And this is another thing. Getting back to Jalen Harris once again. In that interview, he dissed J. Cole. Like, I'm like, this is like, dude, this is not smart, dude. That's what I was telling myself. I was like, this dude's not smart. He said, oh yeah, I love J. Cole. I've listened to him since I was a kid. It's like, dude, you just made your teammates sound old as fuck because you said you've been listening to him since you were a kid. Like, don't do that. Yeah, that's not a good look in some ways. Okay, let's see. Rahul saying also Scotty's from Florida. Maybe to expand his brand, he might have to go big market teams. Scotty's family is going to have a huge influence in his future. All right, listen, Rahul, we're positive here. We're talking about keeping him. We're not going to talk about all the different ways and the reasons why he will leave, all right? Because we understand those. We've seen them in our history in different times. What I'm going to say about this right now is, yes, he's from Florida. He's in Florida right now. He's down there with Delano. Delano's down there too, and they're working out. And, listen, he's going to be back at home. It's warmer down there right now. Here in Toronto is weird right now. It's like it's almost June and it still can't turn into spring or something. I don't understand what's going on with the weather in Toronto this year. We're having a very late cold start and I don't like it. But yeah, his family will have a huge influence on him. But, it's not going to be as much as you think in some ways because one of the things I learned this week when I did the trivia research this week, because I was looking at personal stuff, is I found out that Scotty has no relationship with his dad in some ways right now. In fact, his father is not publicly known. They don't even say who he is. So I don't know exactly how his family will factor in with him and stuff like that. He has two brothers. He has his mother. And, I think they're perfectly happy having him here. Like I said, he has family here in Toronto. You have to remember this, Rahul. He has uncles and aunts and cousins that live here in Toronto. So he does have family here in Toronto also. So we got to remember that too. So Raymond Jacobs saying, Kawhi and Dine and free shelter, what we have offered Kawhi, offer Scotty more. Yeah. I mean, we will, and it's really going to be more what Rahul's saying. He wants to win. He wants to be on a team that's capable and moving in the right direction, not middling, not falling down and getting worse. Something that's got the legs and the wheels to go and on its way up. And that will make him feel like what he's building here is worthwhile. If he sees that there's dysfunction, sees that nobody believes in the coach, sees that like there's issues with players, between players, some of this shit, like what's going on with the Nets right now. Look at what's happening with the Nets. They're not going to offer Kyrie that extension. And they're right to do that because Kyrie is not trustworthy and he's not worth that kind of money. So New Jersey, the Nets are making the decision to say, we're unwilling to give you this extension. Well, by domino default, Kyrie not coming back is going to mean Kevin's probably going to walk also, y'all. That's the craziest thing. Like Kevin Durant may not be on the Nets very soon, and he could be going somewhere else. And people are even saying that he could come here because he's talked about in the last year how much he loves Toronto. and stuff like that. He's talked about it again more recently. And there's actually a lot of talk that Kevin Durant could be playing for the Raptors in the next 2 years. So that talk's coming back around again because of the messed upness about the Nets. Now, he could be on a team like the Nets, but see it all fall apart like that easily. Like the Chicago Bulls are falling apart right now. The Suns fall apart. He wants to be on a team that sticks together and builds together, and that's the Raptors. That's way better. Yeah, we'll offer him everything. He'll get everything he wants. Whatever you want from us, Scotty, you will get. Monique's saying, if you wanted a Canadian from the draft, who would you like? Well, obviously, just go right to the top and take Sharp. If we could get any Canadian that's in this draft, let's get Sharp. That's the one we want. We want Sharp, but we don't have a lottery pick, so it's not going to be Sharp. But that's who, yeah, if I could pick any single one of them to come to Toronto, it would be Sharp, just because he's the highest ranked one, and he's the one that's at the top of the draft list. So Raymond Jacobs saying, we need to offer Scotty free ketchup chips for life. Do not offer him that, Raymond Jacob. He doesn't like ketchup chips. That's what he was saying last night. He's like, thought they were gross. He's like, why do people like ketchup chips in Canada? They're a little weird. It's like what he was saying. It's like he thought they were gross. It's a gross food, is what he's saying. Rahul's saying, but Scotty reminds me of Giannis. He might want to stay in Toronto. All right, Rahul, now you're talking the stuff I like to hear, Rahul. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's the thing. Giannis signing the Supermax with the Milwaukee Bucks was a really good thing for the league. He kind of set the tone for the new superstar, that you don't act like this LeBron, Kevin Durant era where everybody's jumping around and trying to get easy championships by teaming up. That you stick with a team and you build and you go year in, year out, and you go with the ebbs and flows and just try and get championships that way. Giannis Antetokounmpo is a leader for showing that you can double down Supermax with the team you're already on and try and play with them for your whole career. And I applaud Giannis for this. In fact, I wasn't disappointed that he chose that to stay with Milwaukee and not come here, because it was good for the health of the league. And I hope Scotty has the same kind of mentality that Giannis Antetokounmpo has also. And I think he will. I really do think he will. Because listen, part of it is Scotty's old school mentality is like, look, if you look at the 80s, I'm telling you, guys like Bird and Magic weren't trying to jump all around. They had their team and they stuck with them. And that, hopefully that is what will happen with Scotty. Monique saying, I didn't know Zach Edey is going back to school. Okay, so he's going back to school. He's not draft eligible at this point. Okay, good information. I forgot to go look at him, some of his current highlights. So I'm glad in some ways. Raymond Jacobs saying, I'm pretty sure the reason why Scotty's dad is not much known is because Scotty is the son of Zeus, brother of Hercules, God. Just look at that bod. Raymond Jacob, you're hilarious, man. You know what? That may be true. That Zeus is a Jamaican man that lives in the United States, and that's all we know about Scotty's dad. We don't know his name or anything like that. He's not publicly disclosed, and it could be a very similar thing to other NBA players where the father just wasn't a part of his life when he was young, and he doesn't want him to get any notoriety or get any attention. It's like Drake was with his dad for a long time. Shaquille O'Neal and his real father were not cool. Dennis Rodman and his real father, not cool. This is a similar pattern sometimes with NBA players where their father, their biological father, is not involved in their life. And this may be part of it, is like Scotty's saying, look, he wasn't there for me then, so he's not involved in me now, kind of thing going on right now. I don't want to read too much into it. It could be they're cool and they're just keeping him on the privacy too. But that's the way it reads to me as far as looking at things. It's like I couldn't even find out what the man's name was. They won't publicly disclose what Scotty Barnes' father's name is, but he is alive. He is Jamaican, from Jamaica, and he lives in the United States currently. Those are the only things I know about his dad. Rahul's saying, wait, Scotty has family members who have roots to Toronto and Canada? Scotty should be offered free condos and name a street after his name. Yes, Rahul. Yes, you come fully back around with us. Yes. Yeah, he has uncles, Jamaican uncles and aunts that live here in Toronto because of the rich Jamaican culture here in Toronto. There's connections here in his family, and that is badass and good. I don't know how close the connections are, but he does at least have family, blood family that are Canadians and live in Toronto. So that should bode well. And I'm all for whatever he wants. Give him a condo, give him wine and dine treatment, give him whatever he wants here in Toronto. Nat Badia, give him some cars from your dealership. I don't care. Give him the stuff he wants. I know he will give us what we want as long as we give him what he wants, and then he can stay and everything's awesome and really, really good. All right, let's see. Click to him saying Miami's going to go into a rebuild after next season. Yes, this is crazy how these teams they look so strong and so badass. And I'm like, man, these teams are going to be good. They're crumbling. Like they're now none of the Miami fans want Kyle on their team. They're talking about wanting to get Russell Westbrook instead of Kyle today, and they're like, let him go, let him go. And then some of them were also saying it's very interesting how DeMar and Kyle have similar contracts and they're going to end at the same time. So maybe it is kind of a thing where Kyle and DeMar are plotting a reunion to play together still before the end of their careers and stuff like that. But Miami fan wants to get rid of Kyle Lowry today. They're really not happy with him. They're calling him Chris Paul with a big butt in a championship. And they're not pleased with him. And listen, this is the thing, Miami fan. Just don't get too ahead of yourself. I want to tell you right now a little secret, Miami Heat Nation, right now. He may have stunk up the joint in this last game, but you better wait and see what he does in game 6 in Boston. Because all of a sudden, you may be shitting all over him this morning, but you may see him go to Boston tomorrow night and do some amazing things for your team. And all of a sudden, he'll be a Miami Heat god all over again. So just hold your breath until you're actually eliminated on coming down on Kyle Lowry, because he could still be your hero and you don't even know it. I've said hero. I know hero's hero, but hero's hurt and all this. But I'm saying Kyle Lowry could still be your hero with one R and help you guys win the series still. So don't count him out. Don't come down on him like we did, because that's some ways that's not a good look. You turn on somebody so quick, it's toxic. You got to give him a chance to redeem himself, because he's that kind of player that will have a stinker and then come back and totally redeem himself with huge game heroics. And if he does it in Boston and you guys beat the Celtics and you get a game 7 in Miami, partly because Kyle Lowry goes above and beyond, you'll erase everything that y'all have been talking about since last night. You will be like, oh, we should have shut up, because there were a lot of Raptor fans that did the same damn shit in 2019. I'm going to tell you right now. So give him a chance. Let's see what happens in Boston. All right. Let's see. Rahul saying, I don't believe in the Kevin Durant rumors. The reason why this is happening is basically Brooklyn is fucked, because they have to rely on Kyrie too much, and Kyrie is just a knucklehead. He's a knucklehead. You saw what he did to them last season. I understand his stance with the vaccine and all this kind of stuff, but he has to take the repercussions. And part of the repercussion from this year is that he hurt his team completely for this season. Like that sweep in the first round was absolutely unacceptable for who they had and what they were doing with their team. And then a lot of it has to do with Kyrie being a half-timer. Kyrie not being there for his team completely. Him being more worried about vaccine shit and stuff like that than playing for the team. He's a distraction. And it's just smart business that the Nets franchise does not want to invest a lot of money into him going forward. And they're saying no. But part of the problem is that Kevin's stipulation to stay on the Nets is he wants to play with Kyrie. So if Kyrie leaves, Kevin's going to leave too, because he doesn't see anything in the Nets other than Kyrie with him. He's going to see forget about Ben Simmons. He doesn't give a shit about Ben Simmons coming in here and saving him. It was supposed to be Harden, Kyrie, and him. And Harden's gone, and if Kyrie's next, then Durant's going to be the next one after that. And that Nets team's going to be totally different. Poor Starscream, who's coming in here at the beginning of the season bragging about the Nets, it's all going to be gone within that little bit of a time. So it's crazy. That nucleus in the Nets is in a lot of danger. And you be shocked to see what Kevin Durant can get done as far as like things. He will not want to be in Brooklyn anymore if Kyrie leaves. Mark my words. Mark my words right there. Summer Lowe saying ketchup chips from Hostess used to be amazing. I believe that too. I like them. I don't mind them. It could be that maybe he got a gross bag or something like that, or maybe it's just the weirdness of it. It's like, why would you get that? What flavor is that? Well, Scotty, go out there and try the dill pickle. Try the all dressed. Try that turkey one. They have a turkey flavored Hostess potato chip. You know, there's all kinds of weird flavors we have for potato chips up here. Maybe one of them is more your liking than the ketchup chips. But I'm fine with him not liking ketchup chips. There's nothing wrong with that. Some of the people on there were like, no Canadian slander, Scotty. I was like, that's not Canadian slander. He just doesn't like those chips. It's fine with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So it's hilarious. Click to him saying, I would take Benedict Mathurin. He looks like a stud. Yeah, I was kind of looking at his profile earlier and stuff like that. You know, listen, I'm not seriously looking at anybody that's not really within range of where our pick is. So those guys that are kind of in the top 10 is like, yeah, they're great Canadian players. That's cool. But, you know, we're not, unless we do a trade, like there's been some speculation that we'll move up and get a lottery pick, but I don't think that's likely. I really don't think that's likely. Rahul saying John Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. both tried ketchup chips from let me see. Oh, it jumped. They tried the ketchup chips and they liked the chips. So JJJ and Jaw liked the ketchup chips. Well, it's just different taste palettes. It's just, you know, maybe Scotty thought it was gross. Like maybe Scotty is not this kind of guy that likes French fries with ketchup. Maybe he likes French fries with mustard or mayonnaise or something different like that. It's just the ketchup on the chip makes him think of fries, ketchup, fries, and he doesn't like that. Maybe I don't know. Evelyn's here. Good to see Granny Evelyn just passing by. I do miss you all, and I think I have a lot of catching up to do. Love you all. Oh, Granny Evelyn, thank you for coming in and sharing the love. And we love you too, Granny Evelyn. And say hello to baby Candace. I love you, baby Candace. Yes. All right, let's see. Monique's saying, when does pre-draft end? I don't know. Does it just end when like the draft happens? I'm not sure. You're talking about the workouts. Like there's a lot of players coming to work out for the Raptors. A lot of them aren't realistic, but they're maybe just people that are putting through the motions and just checking to see how they're doing and stuff like that. You guys are talking about Kyle now. Yeah, Kyle was so bad last night, Summer Low. This is the thing we realized. Like last year in the Tampa year, there's going to be games where Kyle Lowry is dead wood. It's just like he's going to have a 0 0 0 0 stat line. And boy, maybe he got a little bit of it on Max Strus last night because he was a 0 0 0 0 0 kind of guy too last night. Now, I know Boston has a really good defense, but this is a combination of poor shooting with the defense. And of course, they're going to all say, oh, Boston's defense was so good that they shut down Oladipo, Strus, and Lowry. I'm like, maybe they were a little off too. I mean, there's injuries with those guys, some of those guys too. So yeah, Kyle was really bad. Rahul saying, I think Miami lost this trade because they traded for Lowry to win a championship. Yeah, if they want to win now. That's the whole thing. If they don't get there and they win something, then this is kind of like the Kawhi and DeMar deal. If we did not win the championship, then we failed because we gave up our franchise guy that we loved and was so loyal to us, and we stabbed in the back for nothing because we didn't win. That would be really awful if this had not happened. The 2019 first Raptor championship, which is the first of many to come. And yeah, that I would look at it that way also, that they really were all in for this year. And that if they don't get past Boston in this round, then it is kind of a failure in some ways. And like, yeah. And I really love having Precious on our team for years to come. That is it. That's a big difference right there. Let's see. Click saying Miami did lose the trade when you consider production and age. But Toronto fans never disrespected Kyle that bad. We gave him shit, never to that point. You know what, Click? I want to say that you're right, but I can't because Raptor fans were just as bad as the Heat fans after that Orlando game. It was awful. That day after, when he had such a bad game, we lost game 1 against Orlando in 2019. You got to remember how bad they were. Like, I'm not saying I was one of them, but we were really bad to him. Like, in fact, we were awful to him. In fact, I was disgusted with how we turned on him so quickly like that. So we're not any better than them today. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's exactly the same. Now, Miami Heat fan has a little bit of a different kind of swagger, cocky, kind of venomous, kind of like jerky kind of sense of humor. So maybe it's a little worse in that way, but we came down just as hard on him like they are right now. And I hate that Kyle's going through this again. It's like Kyle and DeMar this year in the playoffs are going through some of their old ghosts. Like, DeMar with the things and then talk about him and with Chicago earlier in the playoffs. And now DeMar and Kyle's kidding some of his old ghosts, like that Orlando Magic game 1 ghost is hitting him this morning. And I hate that for him. I know he's older, wiser, and he's probably laughing at them, and he doesn't give a shit. He's probably putting a middle finger up to everybody. He's like, I don't give a fuck, motherfuckers. I got my money, and I got my championship, and I got my big butt. I don't care. But, it is. I don't think we were any better, honestly. Maybe a little bit less venomous, but I can't say that we were better than them because we were awful that next day. We really were. And I do think we won this trade for sure. Like Precious, honestly, I said at the beginning of the year, I said, I don't give a shit about Goran Dragic. He's packing peanuts. The Precious cargo was Precious. And boy, Precious is so badass. Oh my gosh. Click saying Nets ain't winning shit. Philly ain't winning shit. Sixers fans think they can get a star in return for Thibault. Yeah, they're crazy. They're crazy. Why are they trying to trade Thibault? I thought he was a defensive genius. He's a first-team all-defensive player. Oh, he's so good. Why would you want to trade an all-first-team defensive player? Because he's not really an all-first-team defensive player. What the fuck is he doing on that team? He did not deserve to be on that team. Seriously, Thibault on the first team all-defensive? What the fuck are you doing, NBA? That's horrible. Now, I like what you're saying. Nets ain't going to win shit. Philly ain't going to win shit. That's true on both of them. They're just like Philly was all right. Philly is a unathletic team, and then the Nets are a thin team. Like the Nets have nothing. They're so thin and old. And the other thing I want to say also is Joel Embiid tweeted last night during the game that Miami needs another superstar. And then Miami fans jumped all over and said, well, why don't you come down here and play for Miami? So Philadelphia, I would be a little worried that Joel Embiid might want to go play for the Heat with Jimmy Butler because he's saying that they need another superstar, and then he's leaving the door open for Miami fans to come invite him to try and come down there. I know that probably wouldn't work with contracts and stuff like that, but let's just know that maybe there's a lust going on there between Miami Heat fans and Joel Embiid from Philadelphia coming, that kind of thing. So let's see. Rahul's saying Kevin Durant is under contract. Teams will. Kevin is under contract, so it will cost a lot to trade for KD for any team. Yeah, it will cost a lot, but will it be worth it? That's what I'm saying. Like, what would we give up in return? Will we trade 2 of our core guys for Kevin Durant tomorrow and keep all the other core guys around him and have Scotty Barnes and Kevin Durant on the same team? I think we would do that. I think we would do that. Like if it got down to being like OG and Gary for Kevin or something like that, or Pascal and Gary. I'm not trying to sell out our own guys. I'm just talking realistically. Like you got to really seriously consider this when you have a player of his caliber, a player of all-time great like him available, and somebody that we've talked about wanting for a long time. And he's also said it once again, I'm a fan of the Raptors. I was a Vince Carter fan. That was my team when I was a kid. So it's not like he has hate for us completely. There is some love there, and it may be a kind of a weird down low dream that Kevin Durant has to play for the Toronto Raptors, and nobody even realizes that. We talked about it a long time ago and early in his career, and it just kind of never kind of made any sense. But now maybe it does. Maybe it does at this point. Who knows? Death 4K's here. What's going on? Good to see you, Death. Always good to see you. Anything you want to talk about, brother? Let's talk about it. Monique's saying, did you see Luca Rosano's decision on the centers? No, I didn't see Luca's clip. He did something on the centers. Tell me who he picked or something like that, Monique. Let me know. Rahul's saying, I'm predicting this. The Raptors will trade up in the draft. Maybe they try to trade Gary because they don't want to pay him. I don't know about that. Once again, I'm not a big proponent of trying to get higher in the draft and get high draft picks because it just means more money. If you have a pretty good core, just get kind of a lower draft pick like the one we're in, and it'll fit with the money. That's part of the reason why Mo Bamba's got to leave Orlando is because they got a high draft pick, and they're going to have to make room with their cap to do things. So I don't like the shifting around of the moving of stuff and stuff like that. I don't think it's worth trading Gary. Gary is a huge value to us right now. His contract's super, super good. And now that we've unlocked this two-way ability of his in the last season, he's gotten even more valuable. So we want to keep that value on our team under contract because he's super attractive to most teams in this league, and we could move him easily, I'm sure. But we covet him. We find the value in him. We want to continue to get the value for him for what we're paying for him, and the fact that he can now play the defensive end really well also. So. Yeah, I don't think that'll happen as far as like moving a player like Gary to move up in the draft. No. Monique saying, Lex, how much does Mo Bamba average on the Raptors? Put your thinking cap on. You mean for points? Like, I would be more worried about his rebounds and his blocks. Like, I don't care. Like, he could be like he could average like maybe if he averaged double digits, I'd be happy. Like, if he was right around 10 to 12 points a game, that would be great. But if he was like 8 points a game and he was averaging like 10 rebounds and 2 blocks a game, hey, I'll take that too. So anywhere kind of around there, Monique, is like it's really the rebounds. I want him to be as close to 10 rebounds as possible and as close to 2 blocks a game as possible. If we can get those two stats out of him, then if he's on our team, that'll be a huge boost. Like the points, it's kind of like Cam. It's like everything's gravy on top. It's like if he can get 8 to 12 to 15 points a game, that's great. But we've seen him, in fact, in the game against us here in Toronto, that game where we won by 1 point, the one with the Scotty dunk full court. He had a double-double in that game, and he had a lot of blocks in that game. So maybe he could average like 16 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks a game. That would be awesome. Anything like around there. Lucas high on Mo Bamba and Turner. So he likes Miles Turner also. Yeah, I like Miles Turner too. He's just a good character guy. He's a solid vet. He would give us some of the things that we actually do lack, but he wouldn't, he's going to give us the inside presence and the bulk and the physicality. And that's the best thing to do. All right, let's see. Tom Duke saying, good morning. Whatever happens, I bet it's not going to be a big move. Kind of nervous about losing Gary somehow. If there is a move by the Raptors, got to say I'm not interested in Luca Rosano's opinion. Tom Duke. Wow. Well, listen, Luca has been dissing our team on the down low at different times in his career on YouTube and stuff like that at different times. Like there's times where I can watch him for a little bit of time and then like he says something and I'm just like, and I know that may be like with me too, but at least I'm trying to come at it as the positive side for the Raptors and in favor for them. Sometimes it seems like he's putting us down just for no reason at all. But yeah, I don't like the idea of losing Gary's because, like, listen, he's like found gold. It's like if you're at the beach with a metal detector, you just found a Rolex watch in a $10,000 watch in the sand. That's Gary Trent to me. It's like he's undiscovered like treasure, and we want to treasure that and keep it ourselves. So that's why I don't like the idea either. And like this is the other thing. I love seeing success and happiness for people. And he came from somewhere where he was depressed and he didn't fit in. He's not happy. He's happy now. So why do we turn around and stab him in the back and trade him somewhere else? No, let's not do that. Gary's happy here. He's playing well. He's going to get even better as a player because he's so young. Let's see where it goes. He's another good plant in the garden of Raptor players that could sprout and grow even further in different ways as far as consistency with his offense and maybe even becoming more reliable scorer, like more reliable. Yeah. So Tom Duke's saying, yeah, fair weather fan. He makes me cringe if he's representing us. Yeah. Like, honestly, like he's a sports fan. Like, see, this is the weird thing about me. I'm a sports fan in general, but I really am just one team and so focused on this team. Like, I am like a freak. Like, I'm not a fanatic. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fanatic. I'm a freak about the Toronto Raptors. And that's the difference right there. Like some people, they want to straddle that line of sounding like a reliable journalist and like have integrity and no homerism. Well, I'm not that guy. I'm going to have complete homerism, but I will try and have some integrity within the realm of being a positive Raptor fans. But sometimes when content makers and Raptor people try and talk and straddle that line, they diss the Raptors unnecessarily to try and make it seem like they're not actually homers for the Raptors. And I don't agree with that. I think that that's not necessary. You don't have to do that. It's kind of like what your mom says. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And just, clam up. Don't say it. Stuff like that. So Rahul's saying, can you see Kevin Durant going to the Suns? Mikal Bridges, sign and trade, DeAndre Ayton, Cam Johnson, and future pick swaps. Wow. I don't know. It's funny how everybody's saying Kawhi should never left Toronto and Kevin should never left Golden State. Ooh, I mean, there's a little bit to both of those. That's the thing. Kevin could go anywhere, like really, seriously. Like he could end up on the Wizards. That's another place he has a connection because that's where he's from. He's from the DC area. So he could be on the Wizards, he could be on the Suns, he could be on our team. He could go back. I don't know if he could go back to Golden State, but who knows? We have to see how these dominoes fall. We have to first see how Kyrie gets handled, and then that may lead to Kevin wanting to leave also because of how Kyrie gets handled. We got to let that first couple dominoes get put down. It's been rumors on Twitter about KD to the Suns. I could see that in some way, like especially if it's something with a deal with Ayton involved, because Ayton's kind of a headache for them, and they want to do something, boom, 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 this kind of thing, stuff like that. That could be very plausible. That listen, like I said, I want to see that first domino fall, see what happens with Kyrie and his extension. If the Nets are not going to do this, then the writing's on the wall with Kevin Durant. I'm going to say that right now, that if Kyrie Irving walks from the Nets, Kevin Durant will be behind him. It may not happen right away, but it will happen shortly after that. And the Nets will not be the powerhouse that they've been the last couple years anymore. In fact, it'll be a weird kind of period where they were a fake powerhouse. They look real good on paper, but they didn't do jack shit. They really didn't. Nishani saying, agree with you. Not a big fan of Luca and Amateur Hour Sports Channel. Listen, I don't want to diss other people that are doing what I'm doing here and stuff like that. It's just that I am a really serious Raptor fan, and I really care about this team. And when I hear other channels diss players or talk about them in certain ways, it really pisses me off. Like, it makes me think, like, these people don't really they're not totally rooting for the Raptors. It's like, listen, you got to be there every season, whether we're a shitty Tampa team, whether we're an expansion team with dinosaurs and purple and Damon Stoudemire. You got to be there every single year and take the bad times and the good times. And sometimes when the bad times are around, these pundits and these other channels, they really turn on us, and they really have a good time talking about how shitty we are. And I hate that. That's when I get really upset, is when we're not doing well and they kick us while we're down. And I appreciate that, Nishani. And listen, if you want the outlet where you don't have to feel like that, this is the place right here. Like, this is the Positive Raptors fan channel. And listen, we're going to be homers. I'm going to be blindly in love with the Raptors no matter what. And I will try and talk about it in a positive way and building instead of destroying, instead of putting down, instead of like talking unnecessary garbage or not believing in our guys. Like, it really hurt my feelings when I heard Amy Audibert before the playoffs say that she thought that the Raptors couldn't beat the Sixers. And that pissed me off. That made me think, like, well, what the fuck, Amy? You've been watching them all year. Why are you saying something like that? Like, come on. We got to believe. And unfortunately, she was right. We didn't beat them, but we probably could have if we'd been healthy and stuff like that. So let's see. Tom Duke saying, Nishani, yep, let's go, freaks. Raptors on the way up. Oh, yeah. Listen, that's saying we're in a box that it cannot be combusted. Meanwhile, all these other teams are self-imploding right now. Suns, Supernova, Nets, Bulls, Miami Heat, all blowing up from all kinds of different problems. Now, all right, this is something that I've been thinking about since it's getting a little bit more clear about who's probably going to be in the finals. Now, I see that Luka stopped the sweep, and that's great. But Golden State's probably going to be in the finals for the West. Let's not get it twisted. The Mavs aren't going to come back from this. If we couldn't come back from a down 0-3 against Philadelphia, they're not going to do it against the Golden State Warriors. So we should pretty much expect Steph Curry and Draymond and Klay to be in the finals again, the first time since they played us. Now, I look at that in two different ways. I don't like them winning more, but in some ways, it's good if Golden State wins. There's a couple of reasons why. First of all, they are doing it without Kevin if they do it this time. And that will prove more about Steph Curry's legacy in the long run than in a lot of ways. Plus, it gets Steph even with LeBron James for how many rings. And that means that Steph Curry can have more of an argument of being more important in some ways than LeBron James over the last period of time. Because on the down low, Stephon Curry has been one of the most important changes in the league as far as his 3-point shooting, as far as the way he plays the game. He's changed the game. It's very similar to kind of like George Mikan in the 50s. He came in as a big man and he changed the game as a center. There's been different players that come in and change the game. And Steph Curry, I include with that because of the way he opened up the game with the 3-point shot. And that the legacy of Steph Curry will get a lot more even, kind of like Duncan and Kobe with LeBron. And I like that to a degree. I definitely do not want Boston winning a championship. So if Miami can't kill them in this round and Boston gets the final, we're full in on with the Warriors, even though I don't totally want them to win either. But if it has to be, so be it. I will go with Warrior Nation against the Celtics because I absolutely hate the Celtics. There's just no way I will ever. They're bottom of the list. It doesn't matter who else is playing. I'm going to be rooting for the other team as far as what's going on with Celtics. So let's see. Yeah, this is okay. Rahul's saying something very interesting here. And this is part of the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying about Kevin Durant is he has not spoken to the Nets management since the season ended. And that's a big tell. It's a similar thing with Ayton. Ayton has not spoken to the Suns management since the season ended for them. So that is a tell. It's usually a tell if they're in good standing with the team. They go in and have an exit interview and they talk to them about how they felt the season went and how things are going. If that didn't happen, then that usually means things aren't on good terms. And that's what I'm saying. Durant did not, what Rahul's saying, that's something I heard, that he has not spoken to the Nets since they got swept out. So, and Rahul's saying, I think Masai will make a call for KD if he requests a trade. I think so too. I mean, seriously, we have as good a chance as most teams in this league. Like, honestly, our connection with Giannis is good. Like, if Giannis had picked somewhere else other than Milwaukee, it probably might have been Toronto. Well, let's just put it this way. If Kevin Durant has a short list of teams that are attractive to him that he might want to go play for, I'll bet you Toronto's on the list. I'll bet you money that Toronto is on a short list for Kevin Durant to possibly want to play on if he's going to leave Brooklyn. So, yeah. All right. So much interesting stuff talking about. I feel bad for Lowry. Lowry, you can't do those goose eggs. You're going to get a little bit of hate, but man, you better come back tomorrow night and show something for the Miami Heat fans in the Boston Arena, TD Bank Arena, tomorrow night. Because listen, they're going to turn on you. And listen, this could be a weird thing where he's the GOAT to us, the greatest Raptor of all time, and then he just becomes not a GOAT. But what do you call it when they're just bad and they're like, he was a flub or something like that, or he was just disappointing for the season he was in Miami? Because I think he's only under contract for 1 year or 2 years. I don't know, but they already want him gone after last night. It's crazy. Let's see. Rahul's saying, I think Nets have leverage in trade negotiations. What about KD for AD and THT in a pick? See, that's the other thing, is it could be some weird shit that goes on between the Nets and the Lakers because they have similar problems. It's like Westbrook said he wants to trade out of the Lakers. He does not want to be on the Lakers next season. There's so many dumpster fires around the league. It's like, it's real easy to keep warm as a Toronto Raptor fan. There's so many dumpster fires. There's one in LA. There's one in Brooklyn. Dumpster fires. Just great. And I love that they're the super teams. The so-called super teams are so super, they're dumpster fires. All right, y'all, it's over an hour. I just wanted to come in and talk a little think tank talk about Mo Bamba and the possibility. It looks like, the writing's on the wall that he's not going to be coming back to Orlando because they won the draft lottery. They're going to have to invest that salary cap in the new number one pick that they're going to pick next month. And Mo Bamba may not fit into that equation with the mathematics and the salary cap. So if he can walk and Masai can make some magic, Masai and Bobby can make some magic happen with the MLE, the mid-level exemption, or maybe just like some sort of deal or something that fits within our cap, hey, I'm all for it. I think most Raptors fans and experts, people like Monique and I, we are big on this acquisition. So Masai, if you have any of your people watching here, we give it a thumbs up. The Raptor Freak cult does. So try and make it work if it can. Now, if Mo Bamba wants to go to New York because he's talking about trying to get together with Donovan Mitchell in New York because he's saying that on Instagram or something like that, so be it also. It is what it is. So Monique saying his name is Masai and he can do anything. I love that, Monique. That's right. Let them dream. While we dream, we make reality happen. That's what I'm saying. Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster are tethered in reality, and they dream, but they make dreams come true. Is what I'm saying. All right, y'all. Have a great Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow with the Friday Freak Out. I'm freaking out about the All NBA teams. I'll already tell you right now, I'm going to have a whole freak out about where different guys are on which teams. And I'm going to tell you exactly which ones I did not agree with, and the ones that maybe needed to be on different teams, or maybe the ones that shouldn't have been on any teams at all and maybe should have been bumped from the teams. And then the whole Jason Tatum thing, talking about the all NBA teams, is silly and shows just how stupid he is also. We'll talk about that tomorrow at the Friday Freakout. Thanks again. 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every single morning. Raptor Freak, please like, comment, subscribe. Hit that red subscribe button. It really helps me the most, and I really appreciate y'all once again. Let's go, Raptors!